I just want to say we have an amazing special guest joining us here shortly. Kezia is a comedian and an actor and has written 2 screenplays, has performed stand-up all over NYC and currently LA now on Zoom. She is a creator and producer of Friday Night Funny's weekly virtual comedy show. So we welcome Kezia Norton.
Woo, Kezia.
Hey, you guys. Hey, Dana.
Kezia. Hi.
And of course, Stefan.
How is your week going, Kezia?
It's going great. You know, I love getting ready to move between Christmas and New Year's in a pandemic.
Ooh.
Always fun.
Wait, why are you moving?
Well, I'm in a 2-bedroom right now. And so my roommate moved upstate to be with her new boyfriend. And I'm like, I'm done. I'll live with myself now. So I just said, screw it. And I'm moving.
Okay. Like, no, another good friend of ours, the great Melissa Garver, is also moving right now. Like, it's just December. I'm like, you guys, moving is bad enough the other 364 days a year and the other 51 weeks. And I'm just like, of all the times.
I know.
Holiday. Yeah.
I know. And Christmas is my favorite thing to do, but this is what I've decided I'm going to do. I'm going to move and I'm going to set up full on Christmas over there and extend it into January. I don't care.
Amen.
Have a real full-on Christmas.
Oh yeah, definitely, man.
I might even borrow someone's tree if they throw it outside. I'll just go pick it up and put it up.
I feel like if they can start putting Christmas stuff out in October, you can extend your Christmas.
Oh no,
that's right. Thanks, Nicole. That's right.
You got it. I will send you a gift on January 25th, as a matter of fact.
That's hilarious.
Definitely. So what drew you to stand-up comedy, Kezia?
Well, when I was younger, when my mom was having a nervous breakdown, I felt obliged to keep everyone happy by making them laugh. And that's totally true. I can talk about it. My mom's dead, but she said it's okay if I told people. So I have her blessing. Pre-mortem or pre-death, she said that. So then, I was doing an internship in New York at this theater called Ensemble Studio Theater, and the interns that I was interning with, they were like, Kezia, you're kind of funny, and maybe you should take a class with Louis Black, who was actually teaching at Ensemble Studio Theater at that time. This is like when he was, this is going to show how old I am. It was like when he was 40 years old. So I thought, well, what the heck? Why not? The intern said I was kind of funny. Why not see? And then I just did, and just kind of haven't looked back. Performed a lot of stand-up in New York and then here in LA. But there was a time where I got really burnt out in the LA scene. It was during I felt like my ears were getting raped every time I went to do an open mic. And it was pretty harsh. And I just kind of walked away for a while because I was like, you know what? Either they have to change or I've got to figure out how to deal with this in a better way. So to truncate that, I did take a little bit of a break, and now I'm back.
Yeah,
I've been back for a while, so yeah.
Glad you're back.
Thank you. I am too, actually.
We need more. We need lots and lots of voices to be represented. So the more the merrier. We need. I mean that we need a lot of voices from all different walks of life, all different genders, everything. It's extremely needed. Growing up, I'm sure everybody can attest to this. There just wasn't enough representation for ladies, for people of color, for anybody in the gay community or any form of trans community or there just wasn't enough voices. And I'm happy, like when I do an open mic and I see, transgender people, gay people, a lot more women in there, a lot of different cultures. And that's just being honest. It just makes me smile because growing up, that's not what was going on.
Right.
Unless you were at that point in time probably in a comedy club and the who's who of everybody going up. Maybe then there was some mild mild diversity, but to see, you know, all these different cultures and different sexes of people doing stand-up really is not just eye-opening, but really puts a smile on my face, man. So yeah, please don't quit, please.
No, absolutely not. No, I'm here to stay till I die. But I think it's kind of indicative of what is really happening, hopefully, because, you know, the whole conversation, does art replicate real life, or, you know, which one comes first? But I really think that the fact that there are shows now, in my show as well, it's unacceptable to tell rape jokes. It's unacceptable to put anybody down. I won't have anybody on my show who goes after the comics, who goes after the audience. I mean, sometimes they're, you know, if they do it in jest, and that's fine. But when it becomes mean-spirited,
right,
you know, so they're just not, it's not their show to be on. They need to go find a different show.
Yes. I understand that, and I definitely appreciate that. You know, there's a place and a time for everything, and you know, some people don't have those filters. You know, let's see here. Who in comedy would you say is like a major influence for you?
Well, when I was little, I used to listen to George Carlin on the radio all the time. And so he definitely had a big influence on me. And then fast forward later on to when I lived in LA, I got the opportunity to meet him one time. Ooh. And I got to tell him how he influenced me.
Wow.
And, that was awesome. That was just like a moment that I will always remember. And then, you know, I think like as a kid, those are like your first like real, it's like a record and the grooves are being put into the record, right?
Right.
So they really have a big bearing, because there's a lot of people who influence me now, but this is going to sound kind of funny. Cher influenced me and Dana, I was hearing you talk about the Sonny and Cher show. I used to watch them, and I loved Cher's imitations that she used to do, and all like that. And then I loved Lily Tomlin,
yes,
Betty White, all of those. And then you know, and then of course, like now, definitely Louis Black, Mitch Hedberg, Maria Bamford, you know, and then I've got comics that have been on my show, and every Friday night, there's gold that comes out that maybe people don't even know these people.
Right.
You know, and one of the, you know, there's a comic that I don't know if you guys saw it, but I had this over 60s because I believe in America, we do not respect our elders, and it really bothers me.
Yes.
And so my oldest comic that I had on, her name's Anita Milner. She is funny as shit. Oh my God. And I want to get her on a TV show. Like, she is so funny. People need to hear comedy. It's like, what's great about the older comics is they actually write jokes.
Right. True.
Set up and punch. You know, and it's like, wow, they're really good. Well, because they're writing. They're not just going, what else to talk about? Anyway, so I'm kind of babbling, but I just, you know, every Friday night, I am inspired by everybody on my show. Wow. And then I go out, you know, and Dana, like your whole ancestry thing, hilarious. I freaking love. I've seen it a lot, and I never get bored with you doing it. It's like, I can't wait until you do it. That like a little spin. I'm like, who's she going to add in tonight?
Right.
Oh yeah. That's funny.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Because it's the gift that keeps on giving. I think when we look at like comedy and any of that, it's what can we find that we can make an eternal space out of. Like for you, what would you say is the joke? Like, for example, like Jerry Seinfeld, decided to trash all, like to not trash, but to end all of his jokes. And one thing that struck me was that they said these are some of these jokes he had told for 20, 30 years, like he told for all this time. And I'm just like, how does one tell the same jokes for that amount of time, but all of a sudden, like I have the ancestors and I'm never going to stop, just for the record, just so y'all know. Right. And so for you, is there anything that you can point to in your own work that you're like, this is eternal, this is evergreen for me, it'll always be with me?
Probably my ex-husband.
Right. Good stuff. That stuff is good. That's good stuff.
It's so funny because it's changed. Like in the beginning, Lewis would say to me, Kezia, you're too angry. It's too real. There's a difference between comedy anger and real anger. You're like, gotta see the therapist angry. And so it's evolved and it's changed. And it's really funny because when you go back and you look at some of your writing, like I can look back to, I found a set from 20 years ago when I just moved to LA and I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it because some of it I can still use. But wow. I think it's really cool because even if you put something away and you bring it back out, you can find a different way to say something. Even if it's just one word, it's crazy. Like I've had these jokes about my ex-husband and then all of a sudden this other joke came out where I say, and you probably remember this because you've probably heard a lot, but like I found out my ex got remarried on Facebook. And then I found out on Instagram, he got divorced again. Now I'm just waiting for Twitter to tell me he's gay. And then I recently just added in, well, I saw his TikTok and he probably isn't because he still can't dance. Like, right. It's amazing how you can all of a sudden drop something in and get another laugh. Like, right. It can constantly evolve. And that joke, actually, you guys, started off as something totally different. And it took a while. Like some things, well, I'm blonde, so it takes me a while. Okay. but yeah, I love writing and, I know you're going to ask me a certain question, so I'll save this. Remind me to tell you this part. But I'll mention that later. But there's just certain things that I learned along the way that actually had to do when I was acting that helped my comedy. So remind me to bring that back when you ask me the question.
Okay. And also, Kezia, something that's powerful, it's not, I think that jokes assemble themselves over time. And I think if you're always watching your craft and what's happening, like there was something that I started working on as kind of it started out as a callback to something other comedians were saying. Other comedians talk about how their parents always ask them when are they getting married. So my callback, because I was hearing it a lot, is well, my dad never asked me to get So then it eventually morphed into like him not asking me, and then it morphed into the fact that he's asked about his grandson. Well, does he have a girlfriend? And then eventually there was this place where I started talking about I'm so single. And then all of it came together. I'm so single. My dad has never asked me. And, and it went on down. But I would say that I started working on it and didn't know where the bit was going to go easily in September, maybe October. But it was almost like November before all of that came together as this thing that now works. Like, so I just want to say to you, and you've been doing this longer than I have, I don't think it's about taking longer to get things are like puzzles. And sometimes the puzzle pieces are coming from other places. Do you find that? Do you find,
Yeah, definitely. That's the cool thing about the process. And the creativity hits you at different times. Sometimes I'll be driving. I'm like, I can't write down my note. I'm in the 405. I'm like, I gotta remember. That's the worst because like you can't, you can't go to your voice message and start recording because you're driving. So I love when creativity hits when I'm like in bed, about to fall asleep, the notebook's right there. I can write safely and stuff like that. But yeah, it just changes. And I think when you just allow it to happen, it'll happen instead of trying to force it.
Right.
and as comics, I think we play a lot of mind games in our heads because we're all kind of broken toys. I mean, let's face it. I have 2 therapists, right? So one's dead, but that's another conversation. But like, we really judge ourselves, and we, if it's not perfect the first time, it's like, oh, I got to throw. No, it's like a painting. You throw some paint on, sometimes you got to paint over it. Sometimes you got to change this. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is a really cool painting. It's the same thing with writing, I think.
I like that analogy.
Making happy little clouds is, Bob Ross would put it. It's like, oops, that cloud wasn't supposed to be there, but I guess he could be there now.
Yeah. I love that.
Now that can stay.
Happy clouds.
I love that voice. That happy cloud voice.
Oh yeah. What if you had any tips you'd give to new comics? What tips would you give to new comics? Especially now?
Well, the first one is be really authentic. And I really believe in Bobby Oliver's book, The Tao of Comedy. I wish it was the first book that I actually read. Because I love it. I've got it in my bedroom.
Buy the book, guys.
I think because I'm kind of oldish, so I didn't know who I was for a really long time. But Bobby's book really breaks that down. Like, just be you, be authentic, and everything will just kind of come. I mean, she goes way into a lot more, but really the funny comes out of being authentic and learning how to edit. Like, I see so many comics where they're just like, no, I gotta say it this way, blah. And it's like, it's not working. Edit. When I was doing this, I wrote this play for a theater company that I was in New York, and my director said, Kezia, the best thing you can do as a writer is learn how to edit. Pretend it's like a steak, and you're going to cut out the fat, and then you're going to be left with a steak. Sorry, vegetarians, but that's the analogy he gave me. And I think that has, and always, it's like writing is like a woman's skirt. I heard this from my elementary school teacher. She's an English teacher. She said, keep your writing like a woman's skirt. Long enough to cover the subject and short enough to keep it interesting. That's fire. And then there's a few others. Don't run the light.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. It's, when producers are running a show, they have people that are going to sit down in an hour, whatever. Just don't run the light, and know when to get off stage. Yes. Sometimes even if you say you have a 5-minute set and you get the biggest laugh at 4, get off the stage. Mm-hmm. Why? Because you don't want to leave them with something that's not as funny. Because then they remember that wasn't that funny. They leave them with that big funny. They're going to go, oh my God, Stephen, that was great. I'm going to bring him back.
Oh yes.
Yeah, those are probably my top 4 or 5.
Leave them with something that a pleasant memory, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those 5, if you start off authenticity, learn how to edit, don't run the light, and leave them on a big laugh, you'll be pretty solid. Would you guys agree on that one?
I would.
Oh yeah. Your best joke should be your closer.
Yeah.
For sure.
You have to. Yeah. But but I think it's for anybody, maybe for us new ones, sometimes you feel like I've got this time. I want to use every inch of my time. And I think that's kind of that may be kind of an early comic thing. And so you feel some kind of way when you don't, and I don't know what, so now y'all are nodding, so I don't feel so bad, because sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to give up 30 seconds. Like, cause I feel like all of it's so hard earned. I know, so, but you're right. I agree with you. I just want to get there. I have to get there. That's it.
Yeah.
The edit thing is very important too. I had a block with Las Vegas in it, and one of the jokes, I dug it a lot, but I like some weird shit. So like it had a surreal hit to it instead. So only like a couple of the people in the room would go, yeah, Beavis. And so like I changed it to something a little more universal, and then at least got like more of the room. But it did hurt to edit it because I was like, I did like the original, but
Yeah, that's
this
the
one works
hardest.
better.
The editing
That's-
gets better.
yeah.
That's all that
Oh, yeah,
matters.
getting attached to it. If you get too attached, editing is going to be your worst nightmare.
Yeah, it's really hard. But you know what? You can always put it on another page and save it for later. Like it can always, it's like a dance. It's like a writing dance. It's going to just dance back, dance out, dance in. But as far as time, like I don't want to be misquoted, but like if you're booked on a Vegas show, you can't jip them time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like there's a difference between like open mics use all the time that you have for sure.
Right.
And then on a show, just know when, like if it's a show that you're not getting paid for, and most of us aren't. I'm trying to change that, but
And you will.
like
You
just
will.
know when you have a big laugh, or you have that big laugh, pull out something that's short that is going to be as big a laugh, if not bigger. So you keep your really the big laugh jokes and time them, and you can always, if you get a big laugh at 4.5, you have 30 seconds, just pull out that other big laugh joke and just end them on that. You know what I mean? So
And strong.
what?
And strong.
Yeah, for sure.
When did you how much material do you think better question, how do you build that arsenal? And this is for someone listening, because I think it may vary, but like I agree with you. There was the point where I realized, okay, we're doing fine. If you don't want to give up any time, then you gotta pull one in from your repertoire that will fit. You don't want to, you don't want to go over. How do you when did you come to that? When were you taught that, or did you figure that out?
Can I piggyback on that kind of question?
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak to because I think some new comics, and I don't mean to cut your question, Dana. I hope I don't mess it up.
No. Go.
Some new comics, they stick to what they wrote, and that's it. You have to tell them you have to be able to think past exactly what you wrote and be able to pull and read and move it around. Is that right? Yeah,
and what it is, it's really practice. It's open mic, perform. Take those notes, record, watch yourself, and once you got. I'm in a writing group, so I really recommend writing groups, but find a good one. And there's techniques that I've literally just learned. One where you divide a paper into fourths, and you put your first. Say you have you can break it up. Like it can be 5-minute set broken into 4 quarters. It can be a 7, 8. It depends on what your thing is, and then you just bullet point your bits, and then you memorize that way, and you can time out each quarter. It just kind of helps with you memorizing, so that when you go to an hour show, then it'll be 15, 15, 15, 15, and you know which bullet points to follow through. Does that kind of help? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Dana, I think you were saying, how do you know when you have the material?
Right. Just kind of, when did you figure out something that you said that was powerful? When did you figure out have some tags in your repertoire, have those 30-second, how did that evolve for you in terms of knowing that? Like you said, if you got the 5 minutes, you're on a show, you may have gotten your height laugh, but you may want to live out your time. Like you said, if you do that, then pull out the 30-second. When did you figure that out?
I think I was always kind of taught that.
Okay.
To always have a hip pocket kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was just something that I was always sort of taught. And then it's really practicing, because sometimes it's such a time warp when you get up there, like especially for new comics, like they have no concept what 5 minutes is. It's like you get up there and it's like, whoa, I said 3 words. That's not 5 minutes.
Is it over? Right.
No, actually, you are at 8. You know, so it's really you know, knowing what works and what doesn't. Like, you know, when you have a joke that flies. You know, and then sometimes your jokes just end up whittling down. You can actually get it down, like that husband joke. He's not the only evergreen thing that I have. The fact that I was an only child, middle daughter, and not a daddy's girl, pretty much too. But you just end up, I don't know, you just kind of remember it. I don't know. I just write it down. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a short bit. I can always pull that out.
Nice.
I don't know if I said that well, but
no, I think there's somebody that will benefit from hearing that wherever they need to hear that. And so that's why I asked. It was just kind of something I figured out. I'm a math person, so I just kind of started figuring out, you know, don't want to run the light, and certainly have done my share, but you know, getting always refining, always getting better. But then I was like, but this is how you know, but then this is how you do that. If you want this, then find this. You got to do that, you know. So I was just, that's all, you know.
On that, one of the things I was watching recently was, and it's not that old now, even now, it's maybe less than a week old. It was David Spade having a conversation with Jerry Seinfeld. And he asked, one of the questions he asked him, he said, you know, how often did you find a way to make your sets last, you know, fluff your sets? In other words, kind of like what we're talking about, you know, add stuff that maybe is either untested or, you know, it got a little laughs, but it's not where it needs to be, right? And David Spade's answer to him was very, like, it was very interesting. And I'm going to post this on my timeline again for those who haven't seen it. But, you know, he basically tells him, he's like, you know, I come from a school where a tight 7 minutes, it's better to have that for a year or two than to be the guy in 2 years who's got 3 good jokes and he can run 2 hours and nobody cares.
Right. Yeah.
He's like, you got to wait for the good jokes in the beginning and the end, and the whole entire middle, which is an hour long, he's like, is just horrible.
No, you just made me think of a guy that comes out on stage, tells a joke, goes back to a corner for about like 20 minutes, comes out, tells a joke, goes back to a corner.
Oh yeah,
comes out, tells a joke, says bye.
Well, because you know, even Jerry was, you know, giving his you know, Seinfeld, his opinion on that and all that, and I loved what, because I've even heard Bobby Oliver, the great Bobby Oliver, say it too as well. Is, you know, if you can have, you know, only, she said, you know, if somebody gets you to do a show and they're asking you to do a 10-minute set, but you only have 5 or 7 minutes, don't lie and say you have 10.
Right.
Yeah.
Say exactly what you have.
Yeah.
Right. Because people are going to hear your tight 5 or your tight 7. They're not going there to hear, you know, 5 minutes of good jokes and 5 minutes of bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially now, crowd work on Zoom is much more awkward.
It's so awkward. I'm sort of like, some people do it and I'm like, why are you doing it? But that's just me. I'm not like a huge, that's one thing. Like, I know a lot of comics love crowd work. I don't really fucking care about the crowd. I want to see the comic. I want to hear the comic. Honestly, I really don't care. But there's a lot of people are like, Kezia, that, and I'm like, that's just my cup of tea, okay? You have a different cup of tea. That's my thing. I'm just like, I want to see the comic. I don't really care about Uncle Joe sipping his beer.
I know in London, that's a huge thing, man. The British are the British comics and the crowd. Dan can even attest to this. They want you to shit on them. It's really crazy.
At least the ones I've watched.
I can totally do that. And I can bring out my New York side for that. Trust me, I have a New York side to me. But it's not something I really like. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I'd rather just see the comic do his or her thing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no,
it's kind of interesting. It's Norm Macdonald, when he did the there was a roast of what's his name?
Hasselhoff?
No, the one from Full House, Danny Tanner. I forgot his name. Bob Saget.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so they had been friends for a while, and so they asked him to come do a roast, but Norm Macdonald's like, I don't like doing the mean stuff. So if you've ever seen that footage, that's why he goes out and just does a bunch of jokes from a 1920s joke book.
Oh, there you go.
Like he just does that. And the rest of the roast, he's reading a newspaper and only like looking up from it when someone mentions him. And so that was his answer to like, thanks for inviting me. I don't do mean stuff. What hasn't somebody done? Went up there and did 1920s like old like kind of line.
Clever. I like that.
Oh yeah. The roasts are pretty ridiculous. I'd say that for sure. How did Friday Night Funnies come about, Kezia?
Well, COVID. It's kind of funny because before COVID, I had produced a bunch of shows a long time ago, and I said, hell no. I will never produce anything. Well, if you don't want to do something, don't ever say what you don't want to do because you'll end up doing it. Thanks for putting it up there. And because that's what'll happen. So in COVID, I was like, oh my God, we can't do any performing. I'm going to have a Zoom because in my other side hustle, I've been Zooming for 6 years. Like Zoom to me is nothing. So I'm like, okay, we're going to do an open mic. We're going to do a Zoom. And then some of my friends from Toastmasters came and they saw it because I invited my Toastmasters people. And they were like, that was a show. So then the next Friday it turned into a show. And then it turned into, I had weekly regulars that they made it their Friday COVID experience. And it's so cool because I've got some people, I'm not bragging, it's just something that happened organically. It had nothing, I was just a vehicle, but it felt like a divine appointment because younger, when I was telling you about how my mom had nervous breakdown and I felt like it was my duty to make people happy and laugh to get through the shit. That's like, it dawned on me literally a couple weeks ago, like, oh my God, I'm helping people. We're all helping people laugh right now and getting through this shit together. That's exactly what my family was for me, So it just started and it just ended up where this guy that I work with, he was like, buy the domain name. Let's get a logo. Let's do this. I'm like, okay. And then I realized, wow, I don't want to go back to catering, a soul-sucking job. I actually have a job because of COVID. I can produce. Even though I said years ago, like some of my friends are like, I remember when you said you didn't want to ever produce again. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's a different decade. It's a different situation. Forget it. I actually want to do it now. I like it. I'm having fun. I love everyone that's been on the show. For the most part, we've had majorly fun, great shows. Like,
yes,
right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. It's been really fucking cool.
The world is better because of your show. Like, and congratulations. 40. We were talking about how many we thought you had done.
Yeah,
but
40. Tomorrow's number 40.
Wow, congratulations.
It's every Friday. So then I want to keep it alive after COVID, and I've got to find a place for it. I got to find a home for it because, the 3 bears that watch from Seattle, you guys remember in the audience, they want to fly down for opening night when we open up. Like, it's going to be really friggin' awesome.
That's dope.
Wow.
We'll have to connect. I have
yeah, and I got to get you two on the show because, like, Dana and Stefan have done it, and then I got to get you, Nicole, and Dan on it.
Yeah.
I've been telling Dan to hit you up.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, because I'm definitely grateful to be on the train. I feel like because of when I entered the journey in October at Dow, and then having to come into COVID and us not knowing how this was going to turn out, because certainly in March we didn't think we would still be in until May, and then when May got here and we had to do like Laugh Riot Girl Festival, Bobby's Festival, virtually, we didn't really think that was going to happen, and then like it just kept going, and so I definitely considered Friday Night Funnies, Mayor, who we want to have on the broadcast as well, Jokes from Home. I consider those kind of 2 of our rites of passage kind of Zoom shows. If there was ever like, to me, an establishment of order for, at least on the LA side. I think the biggest other undertaking is that there are so many comics in the world. There's fucking comedy everywhere, like every nook and cranny of the planet. There are comedians. So I can only speak from my LA experience, that I began to kind of in my mind shape you and Mayor as this kind of rites of passage. Like, okay, I've been on Bobby's show, so now I want to get on Keisha's show. Then hopefully I can get on Mayor's show, whatever. And, and obviously there's so many of those things. So I just think you have created an extraordinarily powerful platform to heal people through laughter and to match seasoned comics with those of us making our way, and the iron is continually sharpening iron. So I just think I'm here for it. We're here for it. We're here for it.
Thank you, Dana. That's awesome. Thank you. I'm really, wow, that makes me feel really good.
That's what I'm here for.
My whole life, I felt like the biggest loser. So thank you for that.
It's like that quote, Dana, that you like that I said before: "A rising tide lifts all boats."
Right, and I repeat it. I repeat it, man, because I believe it's true.
Oh yeah, it's
thank you for that.
True. Oh yeah. So I'm happy. There's a lot of places for people, especially what you're doing, for people to go and do comedy. You know what I mean? Because we're on hard times, man. People need places to go and express themselves and feel like they belong and not feel alone. That's very important. And
it's all about connection and community. And I just wanted to create.
I thought it was mine first.
Okay, I thought it was mine too. I was like, what happened?
Now you're back.
You were frozen. Start from the top.
Oh, so I really wanted to create a safe space for everyone, for the audience and the comics. And, I think we all have to lead with more heart nowadays and really listen to people and take them into consideration. This whole, swipe left to people is just so rude. And right now we're crying out for humanity, and we can create safe spaces, and I take it really seriously, this show. I'm just a part of it, but there's a whole bigger component to it it just happened, and, I have people helping me, like Lynn's son helps me, and Christina, Ed's girlfriend, runs the tech, and Charlene Ward is really helping. I mean, it's just been amazing because, I'm just grateful. I'm just really grateful,
Yeah, we'll have to link up because I have an acquaintance, a friend who is working with somebody. They're actually, it got paused right now, but he bought what is it? It's a pretty decent sized cafe, and he's turning it into a comedy club.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
And it's in Hollywood. I don't want to say north, south, east, west, but I know it's in Hollywood.
Well, I would definitely like to check that out.
Sure. I'll have to get the information, and I'll get it for you, so that way, after all this madness is over, we have somewhere to watch.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing I wanted to say is I'm really working on getting the comics paid, because I do have weekly expenses and the donations go towards that. They get paid and that's pretty much it. So, but my goal is, my brother's company has this really cool platform called Hot Mic for comics that are producing things, where the whoever is in charge of the money gets 100% of the ticket sales.
Oh,
so it's like a pay-per-view for shows. So he's launching that in January. So I'm going to be moving my show. I can still Zoom in with everybody that's already linked into Zoom. Yeah. We can Zoom into that platform, and then I can pre-launch the show, and people go, like, I can do it on everywhere, and you don't have to worry about like the link getting stolen and Zoom or anything like that. They just go on, they buy tickets, and 100% of the ticket sales go to the artist. So that platform is going to be used as a vehicle to pay the comics.
Wow.
In January. So if you guys know anyone that's really into producing that wants to take it to the next level, I want to change LA and New York. It's a shame that we do not pay comics.
Agreed.
Like Eddie Izzard, I saw an interview with him, and he's like, I can't believe Americans, they don't even get paid for doing comedy. Like, if you do a set at a bar, you get a cut of the door.
Yep.
It's bullshit.
Right.
And I think we can all change the way comedy is produced and done nowadays. Because I think it's, as a producer, I do kind of rely on my comics to bring people as well. But I also provide an audience. So producers need to do that as well and not just rely on people bringing 10 friends and, you get 5 minutes for 10 friends. Like, fuck that. I am over that. My ovaries are shriveled up because of that bullshit.
My friends have heard these jokes.
What?
My friends have heard these jokes already.
Right.
I've only got 2, and no.
I'm down to help you. Anything I can help you with, Kezia. Just let me know.
We could get at least 4 spots like what you're talking about, then comics can thrive, because it's going to take more than just you. We need like at least 4 or 5 of those spots, because the other 4 or 5 are the main spots that everybody is working to get into and they ain't getting paid at. So
And there are a lot of,
if you guys are serious about it out there in TV land, like internet land.
We need, because I know that there are, even though I don't know what they are, there are alt rooms in LA. So there are plenty of alt rooms around that are not the main, but I don't think comics are getting paid in the alt room. And what you're saying is let's create more alt rooms, but let's make sure that people are getting paid. And I think that's powerful.
We can.
I think it's wrong that a producer would make all the money on the ticket sales and you get nothing. You get a free drink.
I know. I feel you. When I was doing music, it got to the point where I had to start producing shows so I could help take care of the artists properly.
Oh my God. And by the way, Stefan, he has a platform for musicians. It's called legato.events.com or legato.events. And it's musicians put their music up there, and whatever ticket sales they sell, and Greg, his company, promotes as well. And then you make 100% of the sales.
Who started
So
that?
if you guys just send me an email, like you can send it to Friday Night Funnies. It's NITE@gmail.com. So if you know comics that want to start producing on a platform that you can share and people can just go buy tickets, just like a pay-per-view, if you will, and even musicians, let me know and I can just connect you to my brother's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That's dope.
I could even shoot his email in the
chat.
in the chat.
Oh yeah, go for it. I know Antonio had a question. I didn't want to add it right away, but let me put it up right here. When does time actually start? After they introduce you, after you thank the host, or when you start your first joke?
Usually I start the time when you get into your first joke. But not every producer does that.
Right,
So-
like a lot of it is like Toastmasters. When the first utterance, the first evidence that you have started speaking, doesn't matter what you say. You could spend 3 minutes if you want to, thanking everybody and talking about the music, but that's 3 minutes of your 5.
Exactly.
Definitely don't abuse it. Don't come up like this.
Yeah. That's funny.
There you go. I posted it in the comments, Kezia. Greg Norton at twistedrope.com.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Because my brother's company, they really believe in helping the underdog. Well, we're from Buffalo, so that explains everything.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
You know,
It's great. Yeah.
And
there's so much that isn't explained for us not from Buffalo. Please explain.
No, but seriously,
Buffalo made it to the Super Bowl 5 times and never won.
Oh,
you guys
sounds like a heck of a bill.
Some awesome comedy shows. Definitely go to FridayNightFunnies.com and check out all the stuff that's going on there, because I've performed there, Dana's performed there, Nicole's going to be getting on there, so is Dan. There's a lot of really good comedians. You guys have a show coming up this Friday. Can you tell us about any of the comedians that are performing this Friday?
Tomorrow, Willie Mack is headlining.
If you have watched this show for a while, he was one of our original first guests.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have Charlene Ward is hosting. It's our last show until January 8th. I have Carol Newell, who produced a lot of shows. Nice. And I did her park show.
Right. We did.
Yeah, that was really fun. I want to do her show. She's a great producer as well.
Me too. I want to do both her shows. I want to do that park show again. I want to do the carpool comedy.
I want to do the carpool comedy too.
Mm-hmm.
Clevenger's performing. Austin Warren who did the park show.
Austin.
Severin, and then Ritu Tirthani.
Yes, Ritu did our Biden Harris show. We've done it. We've had a show with Ritu, couple of shows when we were doing our because now we're doing Giggles for Georgia on Sundays regularly to just get people enthused and informed about the runoff. But we did like 8 weeks of Biden Harris because I had never heard of Ritu before, but I think we had her on, and then and that's another thing. Everybody, all these circles. So Flappers, Women's, Mike. You're gonna catch somebody somewhere,
Right.
Yeah, I saw that you have retail. I was like, yeah.
I like the name. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go on. Sorry.
Oh, I just like the name Giggles for Georgia because it makes me think that like one day in the future we'll have Mwahaha's from Missouri.
Oh my
God, that's so hilarious.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. But thank you for hanging out with us, Kezia.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
And like I said, if you need help with anything, you just let me know. I'm down to help you out.
Let's definitely all stay connected because together everyone achieves magic.
That's right. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes.
Oh, yes. So again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. So everybody knows we got FridayNightFunnies.com. FridayNightFunnies.com. So go there, check out all those fun shows. There's some really good comedians this Friday. And then we also have your handles for everybody right here as well. There we go.
Thank you.
Woohoo!
We have Kezia Norton.
I'm very bad on social media.
Kezia Norton on IG.
Oh, you
too?
Yeah.
And Kezia Norton on Twitter.
Yeah, me too. But we love it all. It's awesome, Kezia. Like your whole your opening for the Friday Night Funnies and all the everything, the time that you've put in, the energy, the time, and the resource that is very clear you've put into making it, bringing it up notches and notches.
Oh, no, you can tell. Yeah, the production value, everything. It's really nice. And thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
As comedians, we appreciate it. Thank you.
I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me. I know you're going to jump on to the next thing. So do I just...
I just take you out backstage.
Don't look this direction.
I want to hear the rest of it. You guys did a great job. Congrats on your podcast.
Thank you.
Definitely